Thank you to EA for the free game code to The Sims 1. And so that means today I'm building in The Sims 1. I picked a pretty large lot. I was really trying to kind of like find a building style in The Sims 1 because I was struggling a lot. Kind of trying to build what I would usually build in The Sims 4, and it wasn't working out for me. And I didn't really like the how they were turning out. And so I was like, okay, I need to just like do a build that won't like rely on mostly like roofing to look good, because you can't really change the roofing much. It's just like the auto place roofing. Um and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna use a lot of like larger, like square areas to make this build look good. Because every time I had seen someone post a picture of them building in the Sims 1, I felt like Sims 1 builds are like a little bit more blocky. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go with this, and I'm gonna like try my best, because I also am just not familiar with how large the items are in the interior. And so that's also an issue. um there's also not as many like cuts in this video, kind of to show off more of the swatches and items and stuff. For The Sims 1, I didn't really play The Sims 1 a whole lot as a child. I had played it like at friends' houses, but I got mostly interested in The Sims with The Sims 2, and that was the first game that I owned that like I have the most memories with. Mostly for The Sims 1. It was just creating chaos with my friends at their house, like at a sleepover. That's as much as I did with The Sims 1 growing up. And then my friend was really nice, and she like bought every Sims like original Sims disc from like Goodwill, and she like mailed them to me. And like I have played The Sims 1 as an adult, but it was in like the tiniest screen. And, I felt like now that I have the, like, re-released version of it, that's, like, full screen now, I feel like I'm building in the game for the first time, because when I had, like, originally played and I was on VC with my friends, um I like loved the items in The Sims 1, especially these items that I'm using, like the stone ones and like the medieval looking ones. I was so excited about them, but I couldn't really appreciate them fully because of how tiny the screen was. And so every time I was like building something in this game, I was just like, oh, if only we had this in The Sims 4. And it's like items that I wish that the like Castle Estate kit had given us. And there's a lot of good interior items in The Sims 1. Just like that green door, the stained glass, the like texture on the stone. And I love that fence that like I don't know if that's barbed wire at the top. It kind of looks like barbed wire, but I love the like mossy grass that's just like all over that. And so that was like I think what was tying the build together finally, and was brought it to a point where I was like, okay, I really like this build. I think this is the one that I could possibly post as a speed build. The re-releases of like Sims 1 and Sims 2 came out at a good time for me too, because I was feeling like really like not like completely burnt out, but I was like feeling a little bit burnt out. And like that's why I took a week off of uploads. Um and like I realized that maybe I was even just like burnt out from Sims 4 building in general, and I just needed to like take a step away for a little bit. And I think like Sims 1 and Sims 2 has helped me to like I guess like keep making content while feeling like that. Because I have a Sims 2 speed build that I'll be posting to, I think maybe next week. So I feel like bad too, because I like took a week off, and then I'm posting like Sims 1 and then Sims 2, and it's like I feel like it's gonna be almost a month since I last posted a Sims 4 video. But I do have some kind of in like a work in progress state where they're not really done yet. And I started another gameplay save in The Sims 4, and I'm like building a house, like a farmhouse for them. So that'll be a speed build as well. but I feel a little bit bad. But for this build, it ended up I kind of just made it into a vineyard, where like I guess Sims could get nectar and stuff, but I don't think that's possible in The Sims 1. I really don't know what's possible in The Sims 1. So like every time I build or I do something, I'm kind of like learning what to do because my only like real first experience with The Sims 1 was when my friend kind of gave me all the games. Um and that was literally 2 years ago, I wanna say. I think, maybe it was a year ago. I don't know, but it's pretty recent that I, like, actually started to, um, play The Sims 1 a little bit, and seriously, because when I was a kid, it was literally just, like, nonsense, and I didn't know what I was doing. Um, but I really love the color palette of this build too. Um, just like the different stone like textures look so nice, and I love the landscaping items. Like specifically the pink ones, all the like flowers. There's like this other bush that I probably end up using too that looks like those trees, like the red trees in the background of the build. Kind of like those, but smaller and a little bit more pink. It's like they're so pretty, the landscaping items. I, like, had a lot of fun just placing them around a lot. And, like, landscaping is so different for me now because if you've seen my other videos, you know that I do, like, pretty detailed, landscaping using tool mod. It's not really detailed, but I do a lot of terrain, and I use a lot of debug rocks, and I use tool to lower them into the ground and, like, frame, like, hills and stuff. And so, like, landscaping without, like, a mod or without, like, any of those tools it feels so different and also very fast. Like, when I built this, I realized how, short this video was going to be, and I think it's because most of my videos, I think that, like, the landscaping and exterior take so long. Um, and so by the time I'm, like, in the interior, it, like, feels like almost like a half hour sometimes, and this one, like, the video I think was, like, less than 20 minutes, and I was like, "I feel so weird," and I feel like it's not even a video now, and I'm like, "I haven't uploaded in over a week," so now I feel like I was like, I kind of like miss being able to just talk in this way to everybody. And I'm like, I feel like 20 minutes isn't enough. So I went back in and I added a couple of things to the backyard area, which maybe looks like side thoughts and like they were just thrown in. And that's because they were side thoughts. I had no intention of putting anything else in this build. Um, like, I added a little greenhouse, which isn't functional because I realized you can't place any of these plants or like the gardening plots indoors, so I couldn't do that. So I just put a bunch of potted plants in there. But in The Sims 1, you have to water your potted plants. So I guess it kind of is a little bit functional. Maybe just more of like a hassle. And then in like the other back corner, I made a little cottage because I was like, I have this huge like vineyard type build and nowhere for someone to live. And I was like, if I wanted to play in this, I would need to have an actual house for them. And I made a very tiny cottage that's just one room and an outhouse, and that's it. Um, and so that those 2 things added a little bit more time to the video because it felt so short, and I was like, "Okay, I feel like this is good now." Um, but yeah, you could see this is at the point where I was deciding it was just going to be kind of like a community lot, which I don't know if that's even possible in The Sims 1, but I'm adding, like, outdoor seating and stuff and just focusing on all the landscape. I love that, like is it like a trellis? It is a trellis, I just Googled it. I'm learning that when I'm like, I'm not sure what something's called, I'm like, you could just pause for a second and Google what it's actually called. It's like I've been doing speed builds for like a couple years now, and like I feel like I don't even know all the vocabulary for like building and stuff. But yeah, I love that trellis with the ivy growing up because we don't have any like a wall ivy in this game, and so that's like all that there really is. The same thing with The Sims 2. There's like one wall plant that's like ivy, which like I think you need to like have move objects on and like all the cheats to like actually make it look a lot more full when you're using it. I have my Sims 2 speed build. I think I'm posting next week. I probably use it in that one. I'm not sure. If not, I could add some into the interior. Um, but I guess I could talk about some of the items that I wish that we had in the like Sims 1 or in the Sims 4, or at least like a similar sort of thing. But I think that's mostly for the interior because I think I commented on all this stuff for the exterior. And I haven't had to use that column trick where you put a bunch of columns down just so that you could add floors on top since I was a child playing The Sims 2. And it felt so weird having to do it again. And I was like, really? I had to like rebuild this balcony so many times because like, I don't know if it's just a feature of the game, but if you build a room, sometimes there'll be a roof on it, and then I can't remove the roof to turn it into a balcony. And so that was like becoming a struggle for me. Also, my game crashed at one point during this, and I lost a little bit. It wasn't too much, and I think it was the time when I put that, like, wall down with the plants growing off of it, like, when I did that little area, it crashed, because I was doing this right around the time the re-release actually came out, which, if you, like, had it or if you heard people talking about it, it was very buggy, there's a lot of crashes, like, my Sims 1, like, my audio on my computer was, like it, like, broke for some reason. And it's like it works now and it hasn't been a problem since, but it was like only happening with the Sims 1. Um and I only really experienced a couple of crashes in the Sims 1. I know that other people were getting Sims 1 crashes a lot. But this build, it only crashed once, and that was like I just was forgetting to save. So I save a lot throughout. I cut some of the saves out, but I saved it as house, and then I was like, well, this didn't even turn into a house. So that's not even accurate. But I love the stairs in this game, and I wanted to use some of the really large stairs, but again, I don't understand the scale of things in this game yet. So I couldn't even really use it because it would have taken up like the entire build pretty much. Which I think was the problem in the first build that I was working on, where it was like this, it felt like a giant manor, and then it ended up only being one bedroom. And I kind of just scrapped it completely and I did this instead. But I feel like it's similar color palette and I use the same stone and the same landscaping. But I just think this one is a little bit like I don't know, it's executed a little bit better because I had like a couple of builds to get the hang of some things. But this like back room area is just like some bathrooms. I decided to have like a hot tub area in here to give it some sort of purpose besides like a fake restaurant, which you can't really do anything with. If you've played The Sims 1, I should have asked my friend this because I asked my friend Molly like all my Sims 1 questions. I don't know if can you build a restaurant like and have Sims go there? Because I know that you could go to restaurants. Yeah, I'm assuming you can, right? If you go to the lot and you bulldoze it, maybe you can build there. I didn't really look too much into it, but this build wasn't even originally going to be a restaurant. It was just supposed to be a house. And I don't think you can move lots around like this, so this is just gonna stay like this forever. But yeah, now we're in the inside and I could talk more about like items that I really wish that we had. I love those couches. I think they're really beautiful. The Sims 1, it's kind of like one swatch and that's it. So there's no other swatches to the items, which also made it a little bit difficult for me to sometimes like plan rooms and stuff. I think it's just like I'd have to like build a lot to kind of like find my style and what items I like together. Which I don't know how often I'm gonna build in The Sims 1. I don't even know if I'll do another Sims 1 speed build at any point. Um, it's a possibility if like I decide that I want to build in The Sims 1. Um, and I just spent like I think like almost 5 minutes yapping nonstop about The Sims 2, and then I realized that I'm talking over the entire video. This is why if a video is short, I feel like it's not enough time because I forget I'm building and I forget that you're watching a speed build while I'm talking. And I'm like, no, I'm restarting this part because I want to talk more about the Sims 1 items. And that's what I was excited to talk about. I really love the artwork. Like some of it looks a little bit funny and out of place in this game, but I think I really like that about the Sims 1 because like so many of the items feel so out of place that like it just like makes me feel amused when I put one down. Like there's just like I think there's like a Benjamin Franklin like statue which like confuses me. I think it is. And so like when I place it down, I'm like this feels so strange to be placing and there's like that like random lady painting down there that looks like too real and like you would see it in real life and that's like I just I love seeing that for some reason. I think it's just some of the Sims 1 stuff feels like alpha CC and it's just like it feels weird in such like an old game. Like even the plants, like there's that like textured like shrub downstairs that's like in the shot right now, which is like textured so like realistically and I love it for some reason. But up here is more like of a dining space. I like that tapestry of like I don't know if it's like a magician, but it reminds me of like a major arcana card in tarot and so I really liked that. And the fact that we have spiral staircases, which I don't think we'll ever get in The Sims 4, or I've given up hope for something like that. But I really do like the more intricate ones. That was that statue I was talking about. Is that Benjamin Franklin? I need to know. But I put it down and then I immediately I you notice I had to go right upstairs because I couldn't look at it anymore. And it's like we don't have a lot of options in this game. And so I'm like, this is like the only one that has like the color and the style that I want. I'm just gonna have to ignore whatever is going on with this like statue part of I because I think it's a bookcase, which makes it even like more strange to think about. And again, I didn't make the space large enough, so I couldn't even fit a piano or anything up here. I have a fake kitchen area where I imagine that they cook the food and serve the guests. Downstairs is where they make the wine, and there's like the little wine bar area. I love the sounds that the Sims make when they're drinking from the bar, and my friend used to do a really good impression of it. So every time I see a Sims 1 bar or I watch a Sim drink from it, I think of her. And my favorite part of this re-release has been like spending time with my friends and like even just talking about the games that we grew up on and like seeing people like relive their memories with the Sims 1 and Sims 2 and stuff. It's been like really really nice and for the first time pretty much like well not ever but for the first time since I was a kid I was like it felt like having a Sims like sleepover again where you're like in a VC with all your friends and we're all playing old Sims games, which is something that I never thought would ever happen again. And so I love that like we're able to play this game on like modern computers and like full screen and just like share our love for the Sims with like the people around us. It's been a really really like a nice experience. Cause like over the last few years, or like I guess whenever the Sims 2 Ultimate Collection came out, like I was playing the Sims 2 but it felt different and it felt like so cut off from like community, I guess. But like playing this one, it feels like there is a community again of like Sims 2 and Sims 1 and it's been like really really nice. And I feel a little bit like delayed with posting because I did take a week off and so I'm like are people do people still care about the re-release? I know that I do but I'm like I don't really know. I feel like um the build like posting this is a little late but I always feel that way when I like can't like post as soon as something comes out. Like I know that a lot of people are able to do and I just don't think I'll ever be able to. So I'll always have a video up like a week and a half after all of the initial hype. And that's okay. But I think I like yapped over like the items anyway. But now I'm doing the greenhouse, and it was a good opportunity to show off all the plants in this game because I love like all of them. And that hanging plant with the ivy hanging down looks beautiful. But that's when I realized that I couldn't put any plants in that area, which I also learned you can't do in The Sims 2 either. Because I tried to like put some plants sort of to like create like fake flower boxes using like a porch tool, and I couldn't. I'm sure there's a cheat at least for Sims 2. I don't know a lot of Sims 1 cheats. The one thing that was frustrating building in the Sims 1 is that there is no eyedrop tool, and that got me every single time. And that was like the one thing that made it impossible for me to build in like the tiny screen version like before the re-release happened. Um the eyedrop tool not being a thing is like misery, and I hope that there is a mod for it, or there will be a mod for it. The camera is so hard to get used to, like clicking and only getting certain camera angles. I remember like when I was first playing it like a year or two ago, it was hard. Now I think I'm a little bit more used to it, which is good because it's not as frustrating. I used to have to take a lot of breaks playing The Sims 1, but now I feel like I'm more used to it because in The Sims 4, it's like I'm always using the scroll wheel to move my camera around. But this, I'm like, okay, I could stay on this one shot, and I'm like understanding what angles I could see like what from. And now I'm doing the like little cottage I was talking about, which I had to like do the like base the direction of the interior off of like the bed, I think. And I had originally picked out a bed to match like because it was the only one that I thought looked good with stone. And then I didn't like the like cottage at all. So I had to like change some of it, and I like changed the wallpaper. It was because of like that wood was throwing me off, and like nothing matched that wood. But that's one of my favorite swatches for walls in the Sims 1 is that like weathered gray wood. And I love these like haunted house like windows that I didn't really get to use, but I like the round ones too, and I love the door. They're just like it's such like beautiful items, and we don't have like anything like it in the Sims 4. And like I remember the first item I had seen like a year or two ago was that like haunted house window with like the like what is it called? The storm? Like the storm things, what are those called? They're called shutters. I didn't even have to look it up. I just needed to pause a second because I was trying to call them shingles, and I'm like, they're not shingles. What is that called? Shutters, where they're like kind of hanging off and they're like crooked. Um, yeah, that was like the item that I'm like, why don't we have this in The Sims 4? It is so pretty. Imagine like a haunted house pack. I know that like a lot of people would not like that. I would. I would take a kit of just some of what I because like the Castle States kit, I was a little upset that we got like no interior items. So maybe I want a stuff pack of haunted house items, and like the Halloween stuff pack. I don't think that counts. I want like more like build items to create haunted houses because even vampires isn't enough to do that. I want like a campy haunted house like vibe that has like those windows. But yeah, this cottage looks so strange. You could see my struggle with learning Sims 1 and fighting the fact that we only get one swatch of certain things, which is also why I'm like building in the Sims 1 just has to be a, you know, a sometimes special experience because I could not build in this game all the time because of the lack of like interior items. There's so many exterior items like wall paint and like flooring, stuff like that, but there's not really a lot of like fences is one thing that I noticed was kind of hard, especially with like putting them by stairs. I'm like, I can't really find something that matches. And some of the fences you have to like place down as like pieces and they build together instead of like dragging it almost like a wall. And so that threw me off too, but I'm, like, kind of learning this game for pretty much the first time in building because I barely could build when I was playing it because of how tiny the screen was. Um, but yeah, that's the outhouse, and I think the video is pretty much done now. I was, like, going around just to, like, check and, like oh, another thing is the candles and the lighting, yeah, right here. I'm glad that I'm putting them in now because this is another one of my favorite items in the game that I wish we had, like, a built into the wall candle holder that is so beautiful, and I put them literally everywhere, outside, inside. It looks so good. I love the lighting in this game. And now we're to the screenshots, which I don't really know how to take Sims 1 screenshots, so I tried my best to show, like, different parts of the build and some of my favorite areas of the landscaping, mostly where it would be, like, the little dining area where they would eat, but that's the entire build. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the Sims 1 and what items I like to use. And I'll probably see you next week with a Sims 2 speed build. But yeah, thank you. Bye.